Face to face for the first time in 2 years, G7 foreign ministers remained socially distanced as they met in London Tuesday. There is a full agenda for the two-day summit, including the G7's relations with Russia, which was ejected from the group after its forceful annexation of Crimea in 2014. G7 ministers condemned Moscow's recent deployment of troops on Ukraine's border.
If Russia chooses to act recklessly or aggressively, we'll respond. But we're not looking to escalate. We would prefer to have a more stable, more predictable relationship.
China is also high on the agenda.
It is not our purpose to try to contain China or to hold China down. What we are trying to do is to uphold the international rules-based order.
Chinese state media accused the United States Tuesday of, in its words, deliberately hyping up the so-called China threat. The G7 is upholding the principles enshrined at its foundation in 1975, says analyst John Kirton.
To protect within its own members and promote globally the values of open democracy and individual liberty. They were very much threatened by an expanding Russia above all in 1975, and they're still threatened by Russia today, but also China and other authoritarian regimes.
Britain also invited foreign ministers from Australia, India, South Africa and South Korea to the talks, a demonstration of London's focus on the Indo-Pacific region.
So what we are seeing is the birth of a broader democratic family, and if they're willing to put their country's name on paper alongside the Democratic Seven, the G7 itself, that will be an even more powerful signal.
G7 foreign ministers also discussed a coordinated response to the military coup in Myanmar and the violent crackdown on pro-democracy protests, and the US and NATO pullout from Afghanistan, which began this month.
Making sure that we preserve the ability to deal with counterterrorism, that the gains that were hard won in Afghanistan are not lost, and also ultimately promoting dialogue and a peace process that benefits all Afghans.
Meanwhile, campaigners are calling on the G7 to ensure that poorer countries get access to coronavirus vaccines. The United Nations says close to 90% of all vaccines administered worldwide have gone to richer nations. The response to the pandemic will be a focus when Britain hosts the G7 Leaders Summit in June, set to be Joe Biden's first overseas visit as US President. Henry Ridgwell for VOA News, London.